This is a very hot button. They're, again, fan base divided, right? Rightfully so on both sides. I can understand why people are saying, let's give Coach Prime time, let's wait. He'll hire somebody when he's ready. He'll do his thing. We need to be patient. He's got this. This is what he does. Look at how he built Jackson State. Everything is fine. I got it. I understand, right? I also understand the other side of people that are saying, what's taking so long? What's the problem? Hire somebody. What are we doing? Can we please figure this out? When is the DC coming? How much longer do we have to wait? It's February, whatever, what's going on? I just want to talk about the facts for a second here. The fact is, December 30th, we found out Charles Kelly was leaving. And that moment, we found out that we were going to have to hire a new defensive coordinator, right? I think we can all agree on that fact. The second fact is, a lot of other schools have gotten new coaches and completed hiring their entire coaching staff. Maybe not entire, but have hired the key roles, let's say key roles on their coaching staff. And when I say key roles, head coach, offense coordinator, defense coordinator, in my personal opinion, are the three most important roles in football. That's just my opinion. So other schools that have hired or fired their coach, hired a new coach, the new coach has come in, they've hired at least their offense coordinator, defense coordinator. I won't even get into the skill position or the position coaches yet. However, most schools have done that. And so when you get into a conversation and you talk about college sports, one of the things that you look at in college sports are the coaches. Who are the coaches? We know who our head coach is. We now know who our offensive coordinator is. We don't know who our DC is. And so the concern that people are having about not having a defensive coordinator, I totally understand the concern, because a lot of things will matter once that coach is in place, right? Because you want to know things like, okay, so what kind of defense are we going to be running? We don't know that. Is this defensive coordinator going to be a good recruiter? We don't know that. Are they going to come from the NFL? Are they going to come from college? What are their things? Like, anytime you are in a public situation, college football is very public, you want details. You want to know who your leaders are going to be. And so I completely understand the people that are like, where is the defensive coordinator? What is going on? Why don't we have one? That's one thing. The other thing I think makes the situation worse is when your coach comes out, and Coach Prime, I didn't watch the interview, so if I'm saying anything he didn't say, I'm sure you all will correct me in the comments. But when your coach comes out and says, oh yeah, we'll have the DC in 48 hours, or it will be announced soon, you make people say, okay, great, it's coming soon, right? And then when it doesn't happen, that causes concern. So here's my thing. As always, I think we're all rushing to all of our own opinions and judgments based on the situation, based on how we feel about the situation. That's fine. But one thing I just want to just chime in and say is that I can understand the concern not having a defensive coordinator, because there's a lot of unanswered questions when you don't have a defensive coordinator. And I think those concerns are valid. I can also understand the group of people who are saying, Coach Prime's got this. Allow him time to work his magic. He's amazing. He does things differently. I get that side too. This is just another situation where two things can be true. There can be a little bit of concern of the fact that we don't have a defensive coordinator, and there can also be a little bit of understanding as to why we don't have a defensive coordinator. I'm not inside of that room. I don't know what's happening. I don't know when there's a defense coordinator that's going to be hired, but I do think that both sides of this coin are right into wanting to know who that person is. And historically, what happens in college football is programs get compared to each other, right? You're like, okay, in a conversation, people might compare Coach Prime to what he did at Jackson State, right? You compare his teams, how he built them, the talent, all the things, and you compare the steps along in the process, right? Or you might say, like, well, Nick Saban, or, whatever coach, whatever program you want to compare Colorado to, right? When you start comparing, if you're going to compare Coach Prime in Colorado to programs when it comes to other things, you also have to compare them when it comes to coaching. So it's like you can't work this both ways and not understand how people are concerned that we don't have a defensive coordinator, right? Like I guess what I'm trying to say is, you can't say like Colorado's going to the playoffs, Colorado's doing all this stuff, but you don't even know who Colorado's coaching staff is. And so I think that's where like, I feel like the fan base is doing like a little bit of the wave here where we're like, we're having highs and lows and we're kind of like going in and out of things. And we're trying to like make sense of what's happening and we're trying to stay optimistic. Some of us are extremely optimistic. Some of us are cautiously optimistic. Some of us just want us to win so bad that we're willing to just kind of sit back and say, be patient, be patient, be patient. And that's fine. I just think that right now it's a little bit chaotic. And I just wanted to take some time to tell everybody that it is chaotic and we don't have a coach. And whenever there's a role that isn't filled, people are going to be confused and people are going to want answers. And I think that that's okay. I think that it's okay that people are concerned that we don't have a defensive coordinator. I don't even want to do my way too early predictions because we don't have a defensive coordinator, because I have no clue what kind of defense we're going to be running. And so I just wanted to make this video so that we can all kind of level set where we are. And let's allow people to be where they're at within this certain thing. If people want to complain that we don't have a defense coordinator, let them complain. If people want to say we need to have some patience and Coach Prime will tell us when he's ready to tell us, great, let them do that. Like, but we don't have to argue about if it's good or bad. It just is. It is right now. And quite frankly, we're really not going to know if it was a good or a bad thing until we kind of see who it is and see them in the fall. Like, we don't really know if this is good or bad. We know historically teams have these positions filled already, and we know historically what happens, but we don't know if this is going to be a good or a bad thing. So let's just take a deep breath. Let's all relax. If you feel like we needed a DC January 1, I got you. I respect that. If you feel like Coach Prime knows what he's doing and we should just remain patient, that's cool too. I'm just going to continue to play this middle of the road of, I can understand both perspectives. I understand why it matters on both ends of the spectrum, but let's just like stay calm, take a deep breath, and let's just see what happens. We love Coach Prime, or some people love to hate Coach Prime because he's different and because he's doing things his way and because he's doing things that we haven't seen historically. So let's just allow him to continue to do his thing. Let's trust his process and let's hope that he does what's best. And we won't know if he does what's best until we see what happens. So let's take a collective deep breath. Let's stop going at each other about this. But just remember, everybody has a valid point in this. We don't have to go at each other. We want the team to win. We want them to be successful. Let's lean into hoping that everything's going to work out fine instead of slamming, yelling, and being annoyed with people when they think differently of you. I get it. We want a defensive coordinator, but we don't have one. Let's just hope we get one soon.